Here we are in the second video. I've prepared simple scene to start with creating ecosystem from the material editor. So I'm now firstly double click on this icon. Okay, so it will open the material editor, and I'm not gonna focus on the material editor here because you're gonna see in the 6th day. So now I'm gonna just show you how to create an ecosystem layer here, just by clicking on the terrain and then ecosystem. It will automatically generate an ecosystem layer. You can see the little tree icon here. Okay, now we have some tabs here, but in a general way the material editor is divided into groups. We have the previewing group, the type of layer, some effects here, the layer organization here, and here we have the general settings. In these tabs we have the general, the density, scaling and orientation, color and presence. In the general we're gonna have the ability to add some population, change the underlying material, play with the distribution and the display options here, as we've seen with the paint or the ecosystem painter. In the density we have the ability to control how much instances of our population will be present in our scene or in our plane in this case here. Okay, so here we have the overall density, here forcing placement, so the instances will be aligned along some axis, and here we have the offsetting from surface, so the instances will fly or go under the surface. We can also drive these settings by editing the functions of this, by editing the function here. If I check variable density, you can right click and edit the function here, so the density of the ecosystem will work according to this function here. We have the decay near frying object. I think it's pretty much self-explained, so no need to lose time there. And here we have the slope influence, also pretty self-explained. We have the scaling and orientation, and here we can choose or modify the scale of our objects using some variation and modifying the direction from our surface, if we want a vertical or perpendicular. We have the rotation here, and these two we've seen them with the ecosystem painter. Here we have also a variable scaling, which can be edited with the function editor, and we have shrink at low densities. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. If you have low densities, the instances will be shrinked. Okay, we have the color. We have to add an overall color at low densities. Okay, this is pretty simple to understand or to modify. I'm show you after. And here we have also a variable color, so we can edit with the function editor. And we have the presence. So the presence here is how much an item or population will be present in your ecosystem. So here we can add some constraints for example, for the altitude, the slope, or the orientation. Okay, for example, if you have a big slope or a high slope, one of the instances here will be more present than others because it's a slope. This is just an example to illustrate. Now what I want to do is start creating an ecosystem. Here I'm call this ecosys. Ecosys. And now I'm gonna add some population. Okay, I'm gonna add one of my favorite trees here, which is the large European ash. Okay, and click OK. So it's here, as you can see. What I want to do now is I want to distribute this tree all around my plane here. What I need to do is click on Poplight, and now Vue gonna automatically generate or paint or position or distribute, if you want, my instances or my population all around my plane. And as you can see here in the preview, it's pretty well done. And as you can see, we have a well distribution here. So I'm doing a little preview so you can see how it looks. It's taking a bit of time, but the result is gonna be really good, I think. As you can see, Vue is very smart, very intelligent, so it will really respond to your needs. And here we have a pretty good result, but I want a more. For example, here I can change the underlying material. Okay, so play with the scale. Here I can also, if I wanted to, click here and choose the material from the collections here I have. Okay, also I did the alpha if I wanted, but you're gonna see this later on. Okay, and let's see how the distribution work here. For the distribution, we need to have another ecosystem layer. So what I need to do is click on terrain again and ecosystem again, and it will automatically generate an ecosystem layer. So I'm gonna call it bush, or okay, and I'm gonna add, as the name says, some bushes. Click on this one and just pick this one, dry bush. Okay, or yeah, dry bush. I will be okay, here it is. And now what I'm gonna do is move my bush layer up. Okay, here it is. And now I'm gonna click on Poplight. So it's gonna take, and as you can see here in the preview, I think it's not really visible, but you have some bushes here. And what I want to do is I want the bushes to be distributed only around my trees. I don't want bushes here between trees or something, but just around the trunk of my trees. How can I do this? Is just by playing with the distribution, or exactly the affinity with layers. Not affinity between girls or boys, but just affinity with layers. Okay, so if I took positive values, as you can see here, 100%, and clicked on Poplight again, you'll see that my bushes are just placed around these trees. And for example, I'm gonna just zoom in, click OK, and just zoom in and show you the result is pretty good. For example, here I'm gonna stay over here, just see. Actually, I want larger view, so I'm gonna stay here and go another angle maybe to have a better view. What I want to is just see if it's well distributed or not. So here I think it's good, and I'm gonna just render. And it's already visible. As you can see here, we have our underlying material, or the material for our plane, and here we have the bushes which are distributed all around our trunks. Okay, so this is very useful when, I don't know, creating some specific scenes. Okay, so as you can see, pretty good result. it's taking a bit of time, but you can see the bushes are pretty dry, but you can see that they are also well distributed with some anti-aliasing. I think we can, here it is. As you can see, the bushes are well distributed around our trunks. But what if wanted to, for example, here, coming to my material editor, added a negative value? In your opinion, what's gonna happen? Actually it's gonna repulse, or how can we say, repulse the bushes from the trunks. Okay, so it will fill all places where we don't have trunks. Okay, so pretty logic. And here we have the repulsion film layer, which is pretty much the same thing. Yeah, as you can see, it repulses the bushes from our trunks. If I click Poplight again, you can see that we have our simple result. And you can also drive the distribution with a function. Okay, so for example, I'm gonna just try it. So I'm gonna delete this one here, add a fractal node here, for example, distribution, add, and yeah, for example, and just okay, I'm gonna add train fractal and just show you how it's affecting. And here what I'm gonna do is just delete, or how can this layer so we can see, and in the bush here. Okay, but sorry, okay, so here it is. Okay, so you can also drive the distribution by function if you want to, but we're gonna see this later on. So moving on to the next tab, which is the density. Okay, it's good. I'm just click Poplight. I don't know why it. Okay, yeah, 0 and Poplight. Okay, it's good to see that our bushes are really feeling good with our trunks and their positioning around them, but we have so much trees that we didn't really see the result. So what I'm gonna do is take a look at the next tab, which is the density. So what is the density? The density is how much instances will be distributed in your plane. Okay, for example, if we have a low density, a 0 for example, we have no more trees. Why? Because there is no density, so there is no trees, there is no instances, no population. But if I want to really dense trees, I will put 100% and click on Poplight, and you'll see that we will not have space at all, because it will cover all the plane. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to low density, like 50%, click on Poplight, or maybe less, like 5. Okay, 5, and click on Poplight, so we have a little number of trees. Okay, here we have the avoid overlapping instances, pretty self-explained. If you want to, you can check it and check it if you're doing some close-ups. And here I'm going to show you again how this affinity with layer works, because here we have some less trees, and as you can see, the bushes are going just around our trees. As you can see here, I'm just get closer. Yeah, as you can see, I'm just reduce my view or minimize my view so the rendering will be faster. And as you can see, we have a pretty well result. Okay, so this is one of my favorite options actually. I really like to work with this because it's not simply having when you're. I remember a scene that I was creating on 3D Studio Max. It was like a castle with some towers, and I wanted guards to be just around these towers, and I don't want it in. I want something. I've got actually like 15 towers or something, and in each tower we had like 10 guards, and I wanted to distribute these guards all around these towers. And actually I used Vue with the affinity with layer option to distribute these guards by adding them as an object. And this is like kind of scenes you need, or Vue can manage and take you off this. Okay, so let's continue on. And now I'm not just the bush here. I just deleted the affinity with layer. Click Poplight again, and in the density here, come over to ecosystem and density. What I want to do is force regular alignment of instances. So I'm really sorry. So our instances will be positioned according to some axis. Okay, for example, force regular alignment, and click on Poplight, and you'll see that our trees, you have only one tree. Okay, so I'm gonna just delete because okay, the bush, come to the ecosystem and get a bit like 45% and click on Poplight. And as you can see, our instances are positioned along axis, and they are very straight. So I'm gonna take a bit down again so you can see. It's a bit tricky with it's a bit tricky with trees, so I'm gonna show you with bushes. Okay, I'm gonna click on Poplight so there are no more trees, and come over to bushes and take like 20. Check this Poplight bush and overall intensity, and take it like 25% and force regular alignment of instances. And as you can see here with bushes, it's more explicit. For example, here you can see the alignment of our bushes here. It's quite good when you're creating a vegetable garden or something. Here it's really quick to do and easy, so you can add more objects or more plants, so it will be more realistic. This is the fourth of regular alignment of instances. And finally, or not finally, in third part we have the offset from surface. So this gives you the ability to control how the instances will be positioned according to your surface. So here we have the absolute offset from surface. Okay, here in the offset from surface, this frame gives you the ability to drive your instances, or just to control the positioning of your surfaces from the underlying object, or layer. For example, here when absolute offset from surface is activated, here you can control the position of your bushes here in this example with the slider. Positive values will make the ecosystem flying above your surface. Actually, it's in view units. If you're in kilometer, this will be in kilometer, and if you are in meter, it will be in. As you can see here, it's just flying above. Okay, no need to make a preview. I think it's really visible. And if I put it back to like 0 and click on Poplight, then it will be positioned at the surface or at just the top of our object. So there, and negative values will make the instances go under our object. Okay, so here, as you can see over there. Okay, so put it back to 0 and proportional to size of instance. For example, here it will be depending on your it will be not depending, but relative or proportional to your size. For example, a value of 15% or 50% will make the object go above the surface at the halfway of their size. Okay, halfway of their size. Yeah, and a negative value like -50 will make the object go below the object or the underlying object halfway their size. Okay, so depends on your needs, but I really didn't really use this option here, but you can maybe need it, and so I explained it for you. Okay, now here we have a variable density, so we're gonna use a function, as we've seen with the function editor, to modify the distribution or the density of our ecosystem. Okay, so let's see how to. So now let me explain a bit technically how does it work. Actually, Vue will use a filter to vary the density. For example, when creating map, so let's see, Vue gonna generate okay, for each point or each place where the density is evaluated, Vue gonna calculate or generate a number between -1 and 1. Okay, so which -1 means black and 1 means white, and then the filter gonna interpret these numbers to generate your population or your the density or your ecosystem. Okay, so this is how it works in a technical way, for example. And what I want to point to is that, for example, if you enable variable density here, so it's gray. Oh, sorry. So it's gray. Okay, here in variable density, let me explain in a technical way. Okay, so at each point of your scene, each point of your scene evaluated, Vue gonna generate a number which is between -1 and 1, and then the -1 stands for black and 1 stands for white. So then these informations are converted by filter to density. Okay, this is the way it works pretty much. So I'm gonna activate variable density. As you can see, it's mid-gray, so if you can say the function has no effect. Okay, so here it's the overall density which will control. Okay, now what if I just double clicked and choose one of these presets here? Okay, so here here I have basic, and you can choose any one of these or load your own by clicking this little icon here and search for your file. And what I want to do is maybe take the spiral here. The spiral, I don't know really. Let's take this one. Let's take this one. Okay, and click on Poplight. I don't know if it's visible, but no, let's take the spiral. I think it's gonna give a better result. So Poplight, and as you can see here, we have a spiral. Pretty visible, but here you can also play with the density. Okay, if you have high density, you can see that our spiral is getting more dense. Okay, here it's way visible. Okay, now I'm gonna take back a little bit the density, and as you can see, this is because here, if you take a closer look, we have some mid-gray tones, so we have some a little bit, just some instances there. And also you can change the profile. For example, I'm just drop down a little bit the density. For example, here I'm choose something really harsh, so you can see what is, so like the bands here, and click on Poplight, and you'll see how the shape of the spiral has been modified. Okay, so it's like the profile of the shape, or of your profile of your spiral, sorry, of your profile. A bit tired, but okay. Now, and click on Poplight, and you'll see, if I click OK, how this affects our spiral. So let's do a render, for example, from over this point of view here. I think we're gonna have a nice image. And you can see very nice image or density in. By the end of this day, we're gonna make some interesting scenes. Okay, so stay tuned. I think you're gonna really like it. If you are sci-fi fan, I think you're gonna really enjoy this feature. Okay, so back to another angle of view here, because we have some shadows. Okay, I'm gonna open up my material editor and reset everything. Okay, and uncheck variable density. So click on Poplight again. So here, decay near fine object. For example, I give an example in more funny way. If you have, I don't know, you're at college and you have a geek or something, or nerd or something like this, and you know, people are not really interested in him, and they don't really talk to him a lot, etc. This is pretty much the same concept when using the decay near fine object. If you maybe place a rock here, a giant rock over here in the ecosystem, and for example, if I place the rock here just in the middle, then and get the influence at higher value, you'll see that the bushes will get far from this rock. Okay, so unless you check the in your population in your object when populating ecosystem. Okay, so pretty nice. Now we have the slope influence, pretty self-explanatory, how the slope gonna influence on the density. And I think we've covered a little bit of everything in our density tab. So go back to general. I just want to change this bush because we don't really see. So the plant, and I'm gonna take need something that's visible. Maybe I don't know, something like, want something interesting. I don't know, really, I'm lost. Something like this. Okay, here it is. So I'm gonna Poplight. I think the ecosystem population is estimated to like. This will require vast amount of resources, and your system may run out of memory. Are you sure you want to create it? No. Okay, abort it. So I'm gonna remove it and add a simple bush. Okay, so bushes, and I'll add this one, for example. Okay, Poplight is done. Okay, no need for more resources. Now we're gonna see the scaling and orientation. Okay, so what is scaling and orientation? This tab gives you the ability to control the overall scaling, the variation in size, the direction from surface, and the rotation of your instances. Okay, and also it's variable scaling, so you can add functions to modify the size or the variance. Okay, so let's start with the overall scaling. Here we are scaling of 1, so but for example my instances are too slow, so too small, so I will get overall scaling up and click on Poplight, so they become bigger, as you can see here. Or they are too much big, so I want them to be smaller, and then I just modify the overall scaling, and as you can see here it's pretty small, so I'm gonna put it to like 2 and Poplight, so we have more visible, and get the density higher, like 60%. Click on Poplight. So right, now back to scaling and orientation. Maximum size variation. Okay, here we have to modify on X. For example, if I change this to like 3 and get down the key proportion to like non-uniform and click on Poplight again, and you'll see that we have here, I'm just to keep like 3, 6 and like just 3, 4. So you'll see if I do real preview, that our instances are not, they don't have all the same size. Okay, so they're not uniform in size, and this is what's the scaling variation. Okay, as a result, as you can see, and if you take a closer look, you'll see that some of our bushes are a bit squashed or stretched, as this one here. So this is due to the key proportions. For example, if I want a uniform, so and put like this one, we're gonna have size variation, low size variation, and the items will not be stretched or squashed. Okay, as you can see here. Oh, sorry, I didn't click on Poplight, and as you can see, we have variation in size without we have a variation in size of our instances without stretching this out or squashing. So pretty interesting results, and very realistic rendering, as you can see, with some anti-aliasing, etc. will be very good. Okay, as you can see here. So let me explain in a more technical way